Scholars. Chapter 16, Just-in-Time JIT, Lean Operations, and TPS Toyota Production Systems. So what are these all about? It's a good capstone chapter for operations management because these three are all about efficiency in operations. And as we've been talking about through the entire semester, more than anything, an operation manager's job is to ensure that his job is being performed as efficiently as possible through the machines that it takes, through the people that it takes to produce whatever he or she is producing. So there's three different levels of efficiency that these three, JIT, TPS, and lean operations, are concerned with more than anything. And you need to know these. First is to eliminate waste. Second is to remove variability. And the third is to improve throughput. So take a look at those in your chapter. Make sure you know those. Take a look at some of the examples underneath them because they're what we do as an operations manager. The book goes into some detail then on just-in-time. We had some conversation in class about, man, it seems like it's a hard way to run an organization. And I told you, and this is what I believe, that I love it because what it does is it really does force an organization to understand where it has problems because there's really very little room for error. So with very little room for error, if there is a problem, if there is an error, it turns up and it shows you right away that you have one. So I like that about it more than anything. And another thing that it does is it frankly it just keeps the operation running very efficiently. One of the components of an inefficient system when we talked about inventory is excess inventory. And this just-in-time process essentially assures that we carry in as little inventory as possible. So keep that in mind as you're looking at the levels of efficiency of the organization. That it may seem more difficult to do it, but through the modern IT organizations and the amount of data that's available to us as operation managers, you can spot where you're going to have an issue long before you have an issue. Next thing we talked about was the calculation of reducing lot size, which essentially is the EOQ equation, which is the square root of 2 times D times S over O, which is over H, which is the holding cost. So it's the annual demand times the setup cost times 2 over the cost of holding an item in inventory for a year. Take the square root of that. Talked about the Kanban system. You all know what that is by now, which is essentially the card system. We talked about the Toyota production system and how that's very closely related to Deming and Deming's 14 points. The 3 keys that were discussed in the book: continuous improvement, respect for people, and standard work practices. So know those. Talked about lean operations and what that's all about. That's on page 640. And we talked about lean sustainability. We haven't talked in class a lot about sustainability, but what is that? Essentially, what sustainability is all about is not using resources any more than you have to, so that future generations will have the resources that they need to live in the lifestyle that they want to live. So let's not use up others' resources for them in our time, so that there'll be something left when it's our grandchildren's time and beyond. So that's quick 4 minutes on this chapter. It's a meaty chapter. I liked it. We spent a lot of time in class on it, so make sure to study it hard.